level build for just crowd control, AoE damage, and everything. Please excuse my camera; it's a little janky. It's janky as hell. But it was something that I had been working on for a minute, and it's by no means is it damn it, this camera is really bugging. Bear with me. It'll be a little bit better. Let's see what we got going on here. Please, it could be better. Well, like I said, it was something that I had been working on for a minute, and I kind of felt like it should have been something. It's a skill build, and as we all know, the division right now, the skills are not as they should have been, and they're not as good as they should have been. There you go. Sorry about that. I'm probably gonna get a couple of thumbs down because it took too long to have that set up. But anyway, um, it was something to where I felt like maybe with the skill build and actual sets and the fact that the values with the skill power is so since they updated they're so low, and you would have to have another tune to go and get generic mods and everything else. And I hope sincerely that they do fix that, and that they at some point you know you know look at these new gear sets that are severely underpowered, as well as they don't even really have any talents outside of what the actual gear set does. So you lose a lot of value running them. But what I was looking for was a set that had skill power that basically allowed me to do crazy amounts of damage as far as AoE and group control when you're running a raid or when you're running with a group. I'm not so concerned. I mean, I am concerned about dying, and I know that skill builds you should be squishy because you invested all of your stuff into skill, and you should not be overpowered like that. And I get that, but until they update True Patriot and ongoing directive, they need to uh, basically let update it to where you could have uh, other raw talents. And I'm gonna give you an example. Um, right now, what I'm running is ongoing directive, and the reason why I was running it was for some reason I felt like if I can't run the six, if I'm not really feeling the six piece, well, is the five piece viable? Is the four piece viable? Well, I believe it is. You can do something with it, and seeing as all the pieces that I had were high skill, and this particular piece right here, I don't have a utility protocol mod right here because I just ran out of them, and I have to farm to get it to bring my skill power even up even more. um, I began to notice that, hey, I had skill power in it, but I need to still refine this build because I don't have, the skill duration that I need to continue to keep my things up and going. Even though I have some, I don't have all of it, and it's not by any means min max by any means. But I felt like it could be better, and I'm using it as a skill, as a skill build. So I call this the arsonist build simply because it does a crazy amount of flame turret damage, a crazy amount of chem launcher, gas damage, and running any kind of raid, it does have value somewhere to where it could aggro and push the ads away if they're going to try to, rush you and things like that. It actually has very good crowd control. Um, I'm gonna look at that and go back. Actually, I'm gonna go back into my stats and show you what I'm running here. So basically, I don't have, as of right now, until they fix the gear pieces and they actually add um, other, bonuses on top of that we are losing from the other gear pieces. The perfect example: this gear piece gives you restorative, gives you talents, restorative, 10% heal on kill. These new gear pieces do not offer that. They need that. They need to have the value for that so you can make a viable skill build. It's something that I've been looking at, and see, I have a six piece, but here's the problem: it does not synergize well with everything else and lowers my skill power, or we just need to bump up skill power. We need to do something. We need to. They need to. The devs hopefully are looking into this. They said that they were going to make changes, and I hope that they do that. I hope that at some point they look at it and go, well, you know we kind of released this gear set, kind of wanting to see what we can what we can do to improve it, and those are the things that they need to do. They need to have other utilities that basically the actual gold gear gives us. Hard hitting things like that, talents like that. They need to have raw talents individually, so you can go ahead and make a hybrid build out of it. You know, I'm using it for the burn damage and using it as a skill build. And to be honest with you, I don't see the 25% increase in the burn. I really don't. I've checked it. I've looked at it. I've studied it. I don't see any difference with those. If you're actually getting them, I don't even know if you're actually getting them. I really don't know if you're actually getting them, and because you don't see anything proc, you don't know if you're actually getting the burn damage, the bleed damage. There should be an icon next to any individually each of these three things that they have here for the second, third, or fourth talent that shows that you're actually getting what they say you're getting. You need to see that. It ain't no more different than when I'm in prone and I'm in cover and with any other gear set and you could see it. You know what's procced. You know exactly what's procced. But with that, you don't know if anything is active. At least for me. If I'm wrong, by all means, get in there and say, hey, you really don't know what you're talking about. This, that, and the third, and be careful how you say it, because I'm making it a real, thing to block people for being douchebags. But still, this is something that we need to be looking at. Not to mention, I did this solely because nobody. I mean, it's really unless you're skilled, unless you're healing for yourself and you have this that OP pieces, you have the god rolls, you have everything that's synergized correctly, where you have every skill mod, you have mods that are giving you straight skill duration, you have explosive damage, you have everything that's running it in there. What I'm finding is that it takes a long time to farm for that. And a lot of people just, between work and it's starting to become like a job, you know. And it sounded like, well, you gotta invest the time to get those builds, and you're gonna throw away a lot of stuff, and you're gonna have to farm, and you're gonna have to put a lot of time in to get that build put together. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? Let's just try and see if I could use something that basically will give me the skill power, since everything got updated about what is it, a week and a half ago, and the values have been so upside down drastically since the game started. I mean, we're already in the 6th week already, and we're already nerfing this, that, and the third, and there's more nerfs coming. And my thing is this: you don't. In my opinion, I don't think you should nerf anything. I think you should buff things. If you want to say vectors and this is overpowered, and in some aspects with running berserker and things like that and different stuff like that, I agree. I agree that it is and it isn't. I agree that if that's overpowered, then give back assault rifles the 30-round magazine. I don't understand why you took that away, but give them back to them so that way other people don't feel like they have to be playing a certain kind of way. Don't force people to play a certain kind of way when this game is not designed to play a certain kind of way. It is designed for you to be a free thinker and to farm and create things. And when you start limiting people to not being able to create things, it makes they spent like 2-3 weeks putting a build together to find out that it's not viable anymore because you took half of it away. You took crit chance and that away, and you gave the weapon damage, but you took that away. And they farmed to get those attachments for the weapon. You took that away. You know, people tend to, I spent $120, man, and I paid for the extended version or whatever, and I can't do what the hell I want to do. People tend to trip on that. You got to look at that. You got to think about that. Well, anyway, without no further ado, this is what the build looks like. I'm running 5-piece on going directed. I did not go for the 6-piece because what I'm doing is I'm trying, each one of my pieces has skill, it has explosives, it has that, and what I'm noticing is that the 6-piece to me, I don't really see the value in it for right now until they buff it or do something. And as far as the burn and the bleed. Like I said before, I don't see the value, but I had awesome, awesome pieces to where I can get um, the skill power, the skill build that I want. So without no further ado, I'm gonna show you what it does. I went ahead and I did this. I'm gonna throw this out here. Actually, I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna take it off easy. Put it on hard. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Oh, that's the wrong way. You see this arm on. Right? Everything's just getting incinerated. And I love that. Woo! Right there. And I love that. I love that because what I'm finding is that it hits so hard. It hits so hard that you can do that. And then even if you didn't know any better, even if you didn't know any better, you could just keep doing it. And so all I'm doing is just, and as you can see, my cooldowns, because that gear set does not provide skill cooldown at all, and there's no way to add any of that stuff in there until they add extra values into that gear set. Your cooldowns will be, depending on what you're running, horrendous. But as far as a raid, as far as synergizing with other people, it will be very valuable, especially when a raid comes, because of crowd control and aggro and pushing the ad's way. If you don't want to use the grenade launcher, you can use the flame turret, and with the skill duration that I have, I'll show you the skill duration that I have with my flame turret. With my flame turret, because this is on cooldown anyway. Well, can't right now. But when it cools down, my skill duration was like a minute and a half. That's a long time to have a flame turret out there for a minute and a half. You want to have skill duration so that way you can keep the ads back and push them back and keep them to where they can't move because they're on fire. Fire is the best for that. Fire and explosive damage pushes them back. They see the explode, they get back, and they know what it is. So I figured out that if I did that, that would give, pretty much a lot of people a chance and even shoot it. Just reload, and the gas is good. You know what I'm saying? So now, let's just say if you didn't have a good build, you didn't have a good, the God Rolls firearms, you're not running with Vector, you're not running the LMG meta, you just want to do skills, you want to heal, and you want to destroy stuff, and you want to take cover, and you want to go ahead and be valuable to your group, into the raid, then you can run something like this, and stay in the back, and be humble, and, and you can run something like that. You know what I'm saying? You can get your your thug on like this, and you can do it. But this is what it is. And now that that's cooled down, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show this. Take this out. I'm gonna go ahead and put the flame turn in. And put it there. see, that's pretty much, I mean, this thing, my turret stayed out there for quite a while. Stayed out there for quite a while. But like I said, they need to update the skill build to where at least the green gear to where you have raw talents outside of the main talent for the 6 piece and the 3 and the 2, 3, 4 and the 5 and 6 piece. They need to have outside because nobody can build a hybrid off of that without having extra talents on top of that. You lose a tremendous a lot of DPS and this damage, raw damage, by not having that on there that the actual gold gear does have. And people would farm it and people would use it if you actually did that. But that's all I'm gonna say. I think that this bill it has potential. Could it be a lot better? Yeah, it could be a lot better. It could be a hell of a lot better. You know, but I just want to see if the bleed and the burn damage was viable for this build. And I don't really see it because I don't see anything proc. I don't see anything proc saying, hey, you're getting 25% more burn and 25% more bleed. You're not. I don't see it. I don't actually see it with this set. I mean, I'm saying just with just more weapon damage and more skill duration and anything like that or whatever, you could have a serious amount of aggro, serious amount of containment running that and pushing ads back, whatever, and at the same time doing some DPS with some skill power, you know. And you could run it with, you don't have to run it with a flame turret. You could run it with Kim launcher or whatever. You could run it with the kit. The actual turn, and being in demolitions does help you, seeing as how you get the burn, you get that burn, you get the explosive damage, and that I believe with shrapnel and explosive damage, I believe you should be having bleed, but I just don't see any of those. I don't see the third, and the fourth. I don't see it as far as anything procking, letting me know that I'm getting it. Yeah, see, I don't see it. See, third and fourth talent burn and bleed, I don't see it proc at all. But that's pretty much what it is. And if you run this setup, and then there's somebody else in your group that runs a similar setup to where you're doing a lot of explosive damage, then it looks beautiful on the screen, running in you know an event like that with everybody running like that. And yeah, are you squishy? Is your armor low? Yeah, you're squishy. You just got to take cover. Your main focus is using your skills. You're not a tank. It's not like the old division where you could be a tank and run out there. And they should. I get it. Or skill build should be like that. You shouldn't be overpowered. You should be investing totally into skill. You should have some kind of way to defend yourself, but it shouldn't be to where you're so overpowered that nobody can touch you. Nobody can touch you. You know, you should be able to invest in what you invest in, and you should not be overpowered to the point to where you can't die. Whatever. And depending on what you're running, and depending on how it's made, you can't do anything. Um, it's gonna run it like this. Other than that, but anyway, That's what I'm doing. I think that that's it for me. But